The ongoing drama between Ken aka and Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been impossible to ignore. If you've been following their story, you already know it's been a roller coaster of emotions. It's intense, often dramatic, and honestly a bit exhausting, but it's also full of layers that keep us hooked. Relationships are complicated, especially under public scrutiny, and when there are unresolved issues and questionable decisions involved, it creates the perfect storm for chaos. Today we're breaking it all down, focusing on their latest video, the paternity drama that's yet to be resolved, and the growing backlash Gypsy Rose is facing from the public. Trust me, it's a lot to unpack. Let's start with the video that's been getting so much attention. On the surface, it seemed like just another piece of content from Gypsy Rose, but there was something you couldn't miss: the glaring absence of Ken. And honestly, it felt intentional. This is a couple that has often appeared together in past videos, presenting a united front. So for Ken to suddenly not be there raised a lot of questions. In this particular video, Gypsy Rose was joined by Christy, and while their interaction seemed normal, it was the absence of Ken that spoke volumes. Viewers immediately flooded the comments asking, "Where's Ken? Why isn't he in this video?" And it wasn't just a simple question, it was an accusation, an acknowledgement that something was clearly off between the two. For those who've been keeping up with their story, you know this isn't just a random absence. This is the fallout from a series of events, each one eroding the image of the happy couple they've worked so hard to project. The tension between them has been building for some time, especially after Gypsy Rose's controversial comments about Ryan during a live stream. Those comments were reckless more than just an offhand remark. They carried a weight that lingered long after they were made. For Ken, who's already been struggling with their relationship, it likely felt like a public betrayal. Ken's absence in this video wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. It reflected the growing strain in their relationship, the unresolved frustration, the resentment, and the emotional distance between them. It wasn't just a missing face, it was a statement. A silent acknowledgement that things were far from okay. Here's the thing: Ken isn't the type to hide his emotions. We've seen it in their public appearances, whether it was at the airport, Universal Studios, or the San Francisco Bridge. His body language has always been a clear indicator of discomfort and tension. He's upset, and this video is just another example of his discontent spilling into the public eye. Now, the question is, was this video Gypsy Rose's way of asserting her independence, showing the world and Ken that she doesn't need him? Or was it a subtle cry for attention, a way to keep the audience guessing? Either way, one thing is clear: the cracks in their relationship are becoming harder to conceal. When Gypsy Rose made those comments about Ryan, they didn't come across as a simple reflection on the past. They felt loaded, almost as if she was trying to pull him back into her orbit, despite the fact that he's clearly moved on. That's a key issue here: Ryan has moved on. He's focusing on his own happiness and staying out of the drama. Gypsy Rose, on the other hand, can't seem to let go. Her comments weren't just about expressing her feelings, they seemed like an attempt to reclaim control, to remind Ryan that she's still part of his story, whether he wants her to be or not. It feels like jealousy. It feels possessive. It feels like she can't move on. Now let's consider Ken. How do you think he feels watching all of this unfold? This isn't just about Gypsy Rose's unresolved feelings for Ryan. It's also about the blatant disrespect. Imagine being in Ken's position for a moment. Not only are you already navigating the complex and often polarizing nature of your relationship with someone like Gypsy Rose, but you're also facing public scrutiny at every turn. You're constantly put in a position where you need to defend yourself, your choices, and your relationship, all while trying to build a life together. Then, on top of all of that, you're forced to watch as your partner publicly discusses another man in a way that feels deeply personal and far too familiar. It's no surprise that Ken's frustration has been so visible, whether it's the tension during their public appearances or the underlying strain that's clear in their podcast interviews. The cracks in their relationship are hard to miss, and at the heart of it all is Gypsy Rose's lingering connection with Ryan, something Ken can't escape, no matter how hard he tries. What makes it worse is the ripple effect these comments have caused. The tension between Ken and Gypsy Rose is just the beginning. These remarks have reignited public interest in her past relationship with Ryan, sparking speculation and fueling gossip. People are theorizing, taking sides, and turning what should have been a private matter into a full-blown spectacle. And honestly, it seems like this chaos is exactly what Gypsy Rose wants. She thrives in the drama, having built her public persona around being a controversial figure, someone who can't be ignored. By commenting on Ryan, she's once again inserting herself into the center of the conversation, but at what cost? For Ken, the price is steep. He's losing his peace of mind, his trust in the relationship, and potentially his future with Gypsy Rose. For Ryan, it's the constant pull back into a past he's clearly trying to leave behind. And for Gypsy Rose, well, it's just another day in her world where maintaining control seems to matter more than resolving anything. The big question now is how long can this go on before everything falls apart? Let's dive into one of the most unresolved issues hanging over all of this, the paternity test. This has been a lingering shadow in the background for weeks now, and yet we still have no clear answers or closure. It's the kind of drama that thrives on uncertainty, leaving everyone involved, Ken, Gypsy Rose, Ryan, and even the audience in a constant state of limbo. Now, think about Ken again. On one hand, he's trying to build a future with Gypsy Rose, but on the other, he's caught in a whirlwind of speculation and doubt. He's stuck in the middle, questioning not only his role as a partner but as a potential father. And don't forget the added pressure of the public's constant scrutiny. Every move he makes, every interaction he has with Gypsy Rose, is analyzed under a microscope. It's an emotional pressure cooker, and it's no wonder his frustration is so apparent. Instead of addressing these issues privately and respectfully, Gypsy Rose continues to fuel the drama. Rather than resolving matters in a way that's discreet and thoughtful, she chooses to keep them in the public eye, which only adds to the stress Ken is already under. The tension continues to build, and it's unclear how much longer it can go on before everything unravels completely. Gypsy Rose is doing what she does best, stirring the pot. Whether through cryptic comments, suggestive videos, or public statements that only raise more questions than answers, it's clear she's more interested in keeping the drama alive than bringing any of it to a close. And that's the core problem. Instead of taking accountability or focusing on resolving issues, she continues to create distractions, leaving everyone, her audience included, confused, frustrated, and exhausted. This lack of closure isn't just affecting the people directly involved, it's also damaging Gypsy Rose's public image. The longer this drags on, the harder it is for her to maintain any semblance of credibility. For someone already facing significant backlash, the unresolved paternity drama is like throwing gasoline on an already out-of-control fire. What's the endgame here? Is Gypsy Rose hoping this will just fade away on its own, or is she intentionally keeping things murky to hold on to control of the narrative? Whatever the case, it's clear that this situation isn't just messy, it's harmful. And until there's a resolution, it will continue to overshadow everything else. Now, let's move on to another controversy that's been gaining attention: Gypsy Rose's so-called influencer status. Recently, she posted a video promoting a product from Amazon, claiming it's been a game changer for her. On the surface, it seemed like just another typical social media post, but a closer look reveals a much more complicated story. The issue is that many people believe Gypsy Rose received this product for free as part of an influencer deal. You might be thinking, isn't that what influencers do? And yes, you'd be right if we're talking about someone who has built a career as an influencer. But Gypsy Rose isn't exactly known for that. Her lifestyle, choices, and history don't exactly scream credible influencer, and that's where the criticism starts. Let's break it down. Being an influencer isn't just about posting pretty pictures or promoting products, it's about trust, authenticity, and connecting with your audience in a genuine way. But when it comes to Gypsy Rose, people are questioning whether she has the credibility to pull it off. Her past actions, ongoing controversies, and her tendency to stir up drama make it difficult for anyone to take her seriously in this role. This isn't just about the Amazon product, it's about a larger issue. Gypsy Rose has built her public persona as a polarizing figure, someone who thrives on attention, whether it's positive or negative. However, when you're trying to position yourself as an influencer, that kind of reputation can be a double-edged sword. While controversy may keep people talking, it doesn't build the kind of trust you need to succeed in that space. The backlash to her Amazon video wasn't just about the product, it was about the intentions behind it. Many saw it as another example of Gypsy Rose trying to manipulate her audience, using her platform not to genuinely connect with followers, but to exploit them. And that's a dangerous game to play, especially when your credibility is already shaky. What's even more telling is how Gypsy Rose has responded to the criticism, or rather, how she hasn't. Instead of addressing the backlash directly, she's doubled down on her usual tactics: cryptic posts, vague comments, and a refusal to engage with the concerns people have raised. It's a pattern we've seen time and time again, and it's only adding fuel to the fire. At the end of the day, the Amazon controversy isn't just about a product or a video, it's a reflection of the growing discontent between Gypsy Rose and her audience. Unless she takes accountability and starts rebuilding that trust, this controversy, along with any others that follow, will continue to define her public image. If you thought the Amazon controversy was bad, get ready because the situation involving Gypsy Rose posting her address takes things to a whole new level. Recently, she shared her address online, which many are interpreting as a desperate attempt to receive gifts or freebies from her followers. She didn't outright say, "Send me stuff," but the implication was crystal clear. It was one of those cryptic moves that left people asking, is this really happening? And this is where Amber J comes in. If there's one thing Amber knows how to do, it's call out nonsense when she sees it, and she doesn't hold back. In her signature no-nonsense style, Amber had some sharp words for Gypsy Rose. Gypsy Rose out here posting her address like we don't know what she's doing. Girl, we see you. You want people to send you stuff without actually asking for it, and it's giving desperate. Amber's reaction echoed the sentiments of many who have been watching this all unfold. Here's the thing: when you're already under intense scrutiny for controversies like the Amazon fiasco and ongoing relationship drama, posting your address, whether it's an explicit request for gifts or not, just comes off as manipulative. It's like throwing fuel on a fire that's already raging out of control. Amber didn't hold back either. She pointed out the calculated nature of Gypsy Rose's actions, saying she's playing the long game, trying to create the illusion that she's relatable, but we see right through it. Posting her address isn't innocent, it's strategic, and honestly, it feels like a slap in the face to anyone who has genuinely supported her. For someone in Gypsy Rose's position, this move wasn't just tone-deaf, it was transparent. The public isn't naive. People can read between the lines, and they know when they're being manipulated. By sharing her address, Gypsy Rose essentially turned her followers into potential donors, nudging them to send her gifts without ever directly asking. It's the kind of move that feels exploitative at best and manipulative at worst. Amber doubled down on this point, saying, "It's one thing to want to connect with your audience, but it's another to use them. Posting your address like that isn't just about receiving gifts, it's about seeing how far you can push people to do things for you without outright asking." What makes this even more frustrating for her critics and even some of her followers is the timing. Gypsy Rose is already dealing with so much drama, from the paternity test issue to her comments about Ryan and the ongoing tension with Ken. Adding this to the mix only makes her seem more out of touch. Instead of facing her real problems or taking responsibility for her actions, she's out here subtly asking for handouts. Amber wasn't afraid to call her out on this either, saying, "You want to talk about mental health and needing a break from negativity? Fine, we get that. But don't turn around and post your address like you're not going to get called out for it. You can't have it both ways. You can't ask for privacy and then dangle your personal life in front of your followers as bait." It's easy to point fingers, but the bigger question is what's next for Gypsy Rose. Will she take responsibility for her actions, or will the drama continue? Thanks for staying with me through this breakdown. If you've got anything to share, whether it's your thoughts, opinions, or just a need to vent about the drama, leave a comment. Let's dive into the discussion.